you're on. What's up, everybody? Big Blue Power Hour. It's another Friday night. Here to talk to you about some New York Giant football. Got about a month till the draft. What's going on, Evan? How you doing on this Friday night?
I'm here,
Yeah.
man. I'm here. So, like you said, man, another Friday of talking. Not much in the news, but we're gonna go over some things. Dan's got us planned out for. We both, it's kind of in the dead months until that draft, and then as soon as that draft hits, we're right into mini camp and training camp, and then you get into the preseason. It just gets the ball rolling from there. So,
Yeah, but we had a good week of free agency. It looks like we're gonna have some stability at the quarterback position. So it's about time. But now you're just gonna hear the rumors fly about the draft until the draft comes. It looks like the Giants probably are going to trade up, like we heard a couple weeks ago, which I'm kind of happy with. I don't really want them to give up assets, being the position they're in, and you're in really a no lose situation with the third pick. You did Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. I've heard people say they're still going to take a Shedeur Sanders, but I'm kind of not leaning that way. If they hadn't gotten Winston and hadn't gotten a quarterback, we're still settled for like someone else other than like a Wilson. Then I would have said maybe, but I really don't see them taking a quarterback. I think it's going to be an Abdul Carter. Oh, lost Evan. I think it's going to be Abdul Carter, but a lot of people said Abdul Carter is going to go number 2. But you're going to hear the rumors swirl left and right, about the top players. Carter, Travis Hunter. It looks like Ward's going to go number 1, like a lot of people are thinking, and I think that makes sense. We'll wait for Evan to get back here. He must have had a little technical difficulty. I gotta wait till he gets everything back up. There we go. Welcome back.
sorry, I'm having tornado watches in the area right now. I apologize.
Yeah, there's been some nasty storms down there. Let's hope you don't get no tornadoes. Right?
Yeah. We're in a tornado watch right now. I do apologize. If I do go
That's
in
all
and
right,
out,
man.
just know I'm still trying. But yeah, man, like I said, excited. The pro day just went by for Colorado. Both picks that I think are plausible for the Giants looked very well. Um, I know I'm seeing a lot more Abdul Carter. I'm seeing a lot more Abdul Carter guys that want him.
He should go
He
number 2. I mean, it's quite possible to have him.
he could, but
On
the
the
thing
other
what's
side of
scary to me
Garrett
is
would be
he
is
he
appealing.
he is coming off of surgery. He's coming off of
True.
surgery, going into training camp. He should be ready. It's not
Yeah.
like a big injury, but you got to be careful when you come upon that. It could be something very, very serious that could be a nagging issue. Especially you don't want damaged goods. That's all I can say.
Well, at least it's not like an ACL or like an Achilles or
I believe it's his
they're
thumb, isn't it?
something like that. It's like a stress fracture or something. I thought it was his leg, but I think that it's definitely a recoverable injury. But I like Abdul Carter. He's mentally talented. I think it would be a really good pick. You could never have enough pass rushers. What's up, Eileen? What's going on? What's up, Eddie? What's going on,
What's
man?
up?
Um, Eileen says it pains me to say, but I've taken Slayton in some best ball fantasy drafts. Well, the season's a long way off, but I like Slayton. You know, if you're talking about Darius Slayton, I think he's a good, third, fourth wide receiver. I think he's a good number 3 for us. Um, but like I said, I think that you can't go wrong with an Abdul Carter. I think if you took Travis Hunter, it's a real good pick. If you took a Mason Graham, I could see Sanders falling past 3, past us. But if you like your quarterback, take him. So I just can't tell what the Giants value. You want an impact
I think
player
the
now,
Giants are
or you prepare for the
putting up the
future at the
best
position.
front they can of not wanting Sanders. Only
Maybe
because
it's a smokescreen. It's possible.
I,
I do
I,
know
like
they
I
like
said
him.
before last week, I can't see them putting that much scouting into him and not picking him.
Yeah, I know they like him. Like I said, I know they like Sanders. I know they've been to Colorado a lot. They've visited with him a lot. They're definitely at the pro day. Definitely one of the interesting teams. But obviously, if you're going to take a Shedeur Sanders, I think that you're not going to keep Winston, right? Does that make sense to you? You're going to keep Winston?
No, I don't hate Winston.
I'm
going to
put Sanders on the practice squad, so he's going to be my backup if I'm taking him.
Yeah, I would have Winston at third. I would have him protect. I would have Winston as my backup because you never know. Russ has that. He has that tendency now, ever since his late years in Seattle, of disappearing for a month, and he'll win you 7-8 games.
Yeah.
But when you're in week 12 and you need that ball rolling, last year he lost 5 of his last 6.
Yeah, I just think it would be very interesting if they took Sanders. And he says, Hunter at 3 if Sanders starts dropping into the middle of the first round, trade back into the first round.
He's not going to get past the Jets.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get past the Jets or a lot of teams, to be honest.
People are going to be trading up to get.
I mean, he might not get past the Raiders. That's possible.
I don't think he gets past the Jets. I'm not sure if Yeah, I think Sanders drops big. Nah.
I do think that once he gets to a certain point, he'll drop further, but I don't know how far that's going to be. He'll get by us possibly, because where the Giants are. But if you want to prepare for the future, and you're thinking, well, I need a quarterback for the future. But unfortunately, you're not going to have the answer to that until probably next season, or if Sanders plays, if you take him. But Sanders could definitely be there at 2, without a doubt. Because I could definitely see the Browns taking Abdul Carter.
If he gets past, I'll put it this way: if he gets past the Raiders, which that's a bad possibility, they pick him.
I don't know. We'll see.
If he gets past the Jets, which is definitely not. He's not I don't see him getting past the Jets. Pittsburgh will move up and take him.
Someone will. If he's within striking distance and you're a couple picks away, 3, you can see, he's falling. We need a quarterback. We have no options at quarterback. I can see another team doing that. But I'm interested to see if we end up taking him, because I know a lot of fans would be pissed off because you're passing up on Abdul Carter, or Travis Hunter. You're passing up on a really good, probably impact player to take your future quarterback, because that's what the pick would be if you're taking Sanders. That's what
he is the consensus number 2 quarterback.
Yeah.
Because there's the project, like Anthony Richards was, just a little bit more seasoned, and Cam Ward, there's a bigger upside than what Shedeur Sanders is. Shedeur Sanders is another. Everybody's comparing him to Teddy Bridgewater. I don't see that.
I don't see that. I think for the difference is Ward has a much better arm, talent-wise, than Sanders does. Sanders is more accurate. I think Sanders could be a really good NFL quarterback, but he doesn't have he's not as athletic and doesn't have as live an arm as Ward does. But I still think Sanders can be a good quarterback, but I think he needs to go with the right team.
It sounds weird, but for me, what Sanders looks like is kind of like Tom Brady.
I like Sanders. I think he's talented. And if you
the
like
reason why
him,
is because if you
and
watch,
he's there, you take him.
They prioritize going over to the middle and one-on-one coverage. He reads the defense better than a lot of the quarterbacks in this draft. He doesn't mind using his second and third wide receiver. That's a Brady move right there, and he loves the tight end.
Yeah,
Not so much at Colorado did he use the tight end because they didn't really have one that like fit his style. But if you go back to his days at Jackson State, he actually was a lot more live to use the tight end and Travis Hunter than he was his second and third option.
well, Travis Hunter was his go-to guy.
Yeah,
He had,
definitely.
I think he had Jimmy Horn Jr. I think, or something like that as well.
Yeah,
But like I said, I like Sanders. I wouldn't be mad at the pick at all. I would be satisfied with that pick if that's what Joe Shane and Dable think is best, and if they think that's the best pick. Even though Abdul Carter probably is a better player overall, and a Mason Graham's better player overall, and Travis Hunter are. If he's your guy, he's your guy. If you like
what I
Sanders and
say
he's
about
your
this
number one
is
on your
just
board,
one of the.
you take him.
I got a feeling this is one of the best drafts we'll see in a while because there's only a couple positions that are not prevalent in this draft. There's about 3 or 4 tight ends that are good. There's about 10 wide receivers that are really good. There's a ton of defensive tackle help. There's a lot of edge help. It's a little weak on the linebacker side. I will admit that, but safety and cornerback, it's filled. It's actually
Wide
really good.
receiver is good depth.
It's really good offensive line depth. Skill positions it's good at. Like you got about 4 rounds of great running backs that I think could be number ones in this league.
And that's something also the Giants need to do is improve their offensive line depth.
Yeah,
I do
it's
think
just
maybe they need another running back. I think maybe later in the draft they might need another one because Gray, Tracy I like, but I think they need another back
I
there.
wouldn't mind a 1-2 punch. I think
Yeah,
Scatterborough, Skidaboo, whatever his name is. I can't
I like
pronounce
Scottaboo.
Scatterboo. I think he's got that small and he reminds me of Bradshaw. His body size. He's got that speed, but he's got that bounce off ability that
I like
Amon Bradshaw
Scottaboo.
had.
I like Amarion Hampton. I like Travion Henderson from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Junkins I like. Caleb Johnson is like a fast guy. Scottaboo. Um, so I think running back would be later in the draft be a good option. Your offensive line
Who's
depth.
the was it that defensive tackle or defensive end, Shamar Stewart?
Shamar Stewart.
I'm really liking him too. I think
Yeah,
that's a
I
good.
like Shamar Stewart. Abdul Carter, obviously. Shamar Stewart's one of the better pass rushers in the draft, probably.
Yeah.
One of the better edge guys. Jalen Walker from Georgia. You have James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, who I really like. I think he's also solid.
I think we take a play. I think we take a page out of the Eagles playbook, and you start drafting from the national championship team. You go with the Ohio State Buckeye, and you drafted 2 or 3 guys from their team that are just stars.
I mean, do you think the Giants could take a tackle
Like I
earlier in
said,
the draft than people think?
at this point, I'll say it. Giants don't lose. Like I'm sorry, like you have to pick
Well,
the dumbest thing ever.
at 3, you're probably gonna get a good player,
Yeah,
most likely.
and I'm saying if they decide, I won't hate it. I won't love it, but I won't hate it. If the Jets gave them such a package for that number 3 pick, say they get 2 ones, maybe a future 3, and a couple players with it. Was it DeAndre Thompson in the second? I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind him on the edge. I wouldn't mind grabbing him. Maybe some of that O line help. Maybe some of their best O line help that we can get. Maybe a skill position, something that we can get from the Jets, and then a couple first, or and a later on pick too. I wouldn't be mad. And then draft Will Anderson. I would not be mad.
Yeah, I definitely. I wouldn't be mad at that, but I don't see them really trading that 3rd pick unless they're offered a haul or less. If they were like in the middle, like 5, maybe the player you want isn't there and you trade down. But I see them staying at 3. And unless they want a specific player, I see them staying at 3, taking a Sanders, Hunter, or Carter. It's going to be one of those 3. Unless Carter's gone,
I don't.
uh,
And that's the
I
thing.
think if Carter's gone, they have a better chance of
Cleveland,
taking Sanders.
Cleveland's gonna go either Travis Hunter, which they're not gonna pass up a Travis Hunter. I'm sorry, they're not.
Travis Hunter's a good player.
They
You
are.
can
They're gonna
plug him
go
in a wide
them
receiver or
or
cornerback.
Shador's gonna go to. But the thing is, though, is Sanders gonna allow him to go to Cleveland?
I have no idea. I don't know how much that. I don't know if they're gonna do the thing where they're like, oh, we don't want to play there. You know, let's pick them and trade him or something like that, or trade the pick or swap picks with somebody, swap picks with us.
Because I know
like,
for a fact.
I have no idea.
You go back about a month ago, and everybody was in love with, like, they didn't know who would be the number one pick, Shador going to Tennessee or Cam Ward, which I'm like, either one's fine with me because I'll take either one of them.
Yeah.
But it went to the point of, like, now we see more Cam Ward. Like, he's going to get destroyed in Tennessee. Whoever goes to Tennessee's, I think, in a worse position.
Tennessee's not as bad as people think. I just think they had no quarterback. I think that they're really struggling with that position.
Maybe.
But
they have a lot.
That's the way it goes,
wide receiver core, and their defense is getting old.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Tennessee has some, some nice pieces, but they, it could be, rookie quarterback sometimes going to struggle, but it's all about them learning and progressing throughout the season, even if they struggle a little bit. You're not expecting as Tennessee to go anywhere. So if you get your franchise quarterback, if you're them, it makes sense for them. I like Cam Ward a lot. I always wish we were the number one pick, but sometimes it makes it hard being the number one pick.
That if they weren't sold with any quarterback in this draft,
yeah,
I was considering this isn't going to happen anymore because he just got traded. Joe Milton from the Patriots. Now that
I saw that. Yeah, I
saw that. He just got snagged up by the Cowboys, division rival. Guys, that guy can play. I'm sorry. I think they not only did New England score on Drake May,
worth taking a chance on if you're Dallas. I mean, I wouldn't have minded.
He's got a serious chance, and what worries me is that now Dallas. Now that I think about it, if you look at Dallas is about 2 years away from being rebuilt if they play their cards right.
Well, Dallas has talent.
Older talent, and Dallas drafts well. They really do.
Well, I would necessarily worry about Dallas. Let's worry about our team getting better and us getting better. But you always got to be concerned about your team is in the division, and we'll see if that that Milton works out for them. I think it's a good pickup for them.
You also got to remember this too.
It's a low risk, high reward possibly. So
the NFC East used to be the 10-17 wins, or 10-6 usually, but the 10-17 wins because we all used to beat up on each other. You go back from the 2000s to just the start of the 2010s, for that 10-year period, or even go back into the 90s, it was more. You never seen a NFC East team go 5-11. If it was for a year and they were back up to 8-8, or 9-7.
It would be nice to not suck,
So I think we're getting back to that period where, this is still a division where there hasn't been a back-to-back winner in 20 years.
That's what I like about the division. Division's competitive like that. That's why I like.
And you want to talk about what's the hardest division?
You never have a repeat winner.
There's no repeat winner. Like, granted, the Giants and the Redskins are up there as much as the Cowboys, and but we have our wild card wins. We have 2 Super Bowls in the last 20 years. 3 appearances.
Let's hope that we could have a better season in 2025 and not be in the gutter.
I'm just tired of the Giants being looked at as a poverty franchise. I'm like, this is one of the best franchises in football, period. I'm like, this is the longest dry spell we've had. I can't speak for the 70s. I can't speak for, the late 90s. I can't speak of that because I wasn't around.
The late 90s, the Giants
your
weren't
area.
bad.
But
mid '90s or so, they were pretty bad
yeah, the mid to late '90s were pretty bad.
in my
But
lifetime.
It's the lay of the land now. Like to say, oh well, they failed 2 rebuilds, they're a horrible franchise. You
I
got
would say
like
they're a
what
horrible franchise, but it would be nice to not be one of the worst teams in the league. For successive
they have been
seasons,
one of the worst teams in the league. But
and
when
it's
you
just been
when you
it's
talk
been a
about
rough
people,
decade for us. That's all.
if you go back 15 years, you go back over the last 15 years, their name is still a Super Bowl winner in the last 15 years.
Well,
There's teams
exactly.
that are relevant now who still haven't been fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck if you win 12 games a year for the last 20 years. If you have not had a playoff win, if you have not had a conference championship,
Well, true.
if you haven't even made
We
it
could,
to a fucking Super Bowl, but
yeah.
you're sitting there criticizing the team that won one in the last 20 years.
Well, we could say that about certain teams and certain franchises, but guys have a rich history. It would just be nice, like I said, to return back to being somewhat of a respectable team, rather than the past decade. And like I said, I do like the moves they made. I like that they got Wilson. They have some competency at quarterback. He may not be the best in the league, but it's way better than what we've had. Way better quarterback room than what we've had. We made some good moves on the defense. Now it's all about staying healthy and having another good draft.
And what I want to tell people is give Shane a break. Everything they hop on, listen.
I would say the Daniel Jones contract, I don't know if people are going to forgive him
did.
for.
He's done a better job.
For the most part, yes. I would say Gettleman did have hit on some players, but I would say for the most part, yes. And the cap situation.
What I've been seeing on, because listen, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, mostly all day. Trust me, I'm on a ton of Giants pages, and what I see.
People are going to talk.
And what I see is a lot of people saying Shane needs to be fired. Shane and Daboll are the best combo right now. If we were to fire them today, they would have a job within a week.
Maybe.
And I say that as confident as I say in front of you now. They would have a job in a week. That's why we would fire them this year, because
about it.
Like, you have to take the Saquon contract out of context.
I still think it was the right move. I think that
exactly. I could have made some. He went to the Eagles. That's the only thing I really don't like about that. Still the
right move, I think.
But I knew he was leaving. I said, I'm like, he's going to leave. I just didn't think he would go 90 miles down south to Philadelphia. But then again, he has sentiment there. He grew up. He was born and raised in New York. He was raised in Pennsylvania. He grew up an hour away from Philadelphia and 2 hours away from State College.
No, like I said, I don't fault Barkley for doing it, but I think some things could have been done differently, and I know people are going to kill Shane for that. I still think that signing Daniel Jones may have not been exactly Shane. It may have forced his hand a little bit.
No,
I think that was a bad decision.
But I think they could have got him for a lot less, and that's why. If they would have let him play the market, he would have came back with less than what he was worth.
Probably.
Because you signed him at 40, thinking that nobody would take, or somebody would take him at 40. Nobody wanted to take him at 40, and
no, absolutely, I don't think so.
I don't think nobody would have taken him at 40.
No.
Now, if you would have offered him $28 million a year for 4 years and have 3 of them guaranteed, that wouldn't have been bad.
I wouldn't have been as mad about it, but people also don't realize that 35, 40 million is a going rate for even the average quarterback.
Because then you would have money.
That's what it is now.
You would have more money that you wouldn't have cared about giving. Because Saquon he was offered $14 million.
Oh, he turned down a couple contracts, but it is what it is.
He turned down both contracts because CMC was making $16 million. He went and took 13 to be on a better team. That's just what it is.
It is what it is.
I wish we would have kept Xavier McKinney. But then
I think not signing I think not signing McKinney was the bigger error, actually.
Yes,
I think
but
that was a
also,
bigger error because you
yeah,
could have
yes, he
definitely
was an
done that.
interception machine. I get that. He was
But
very good at
still,
picks, which
he's
we've suffered in since then.
24 and he's a core player for your team, for your defense. Keeping McKinney, I think, would have been the smarter move because he's a guy you could build around. He's young. He's one of the best safeties in the league. Yeah, you might have had to pay him a lot, but I still think that he was the guy I think you should have tried to
And
keep
considering
the most, in my opinion. And he was
since
not injured as much.
since leaving the Giants, he has not thrown any shots at the Giants.
Yeah, I like McKinney. I always liked him.
You know,
That's one of
Saquon
Gettleman's
Barkley's
best
done
picks.
nothing but send shots to the Giants.
No, it is what it is. Some players are going to do that, but McKinney is one of
So
Gettleman's like best picks. Like he's the guy. I think, like I said, I agree. I think it was the bigger error. I think if you could have signed him, that would have been huge. Because he was kind of a key piece to that defense. I think, to them at least being competent in the pass game, and he could, rush the passer, and he's a ball hawk out there.
yeah,
It sucks to lose a guy like that. I like our safety room now. I think Shane fixed it. And one of the biggest things I think Shane has done is our cap situation is like way better than what it was. And going into next season, the 2026, the season after this coming season,
yeah.
we're going to have $100 million in cap space. So the fact he was able to turn that around in itself is an accomplishment. And that was one of the biggest things is we were in cap hell. And now they're able to make some solid moves, and let's see if those moves, work out and they
And the
stay
fact that
healthy
he
this year.
changed, I'll give this to Shane too. The fact that he got the books under a management so quickly, like we've
One
had
good
money to
thing,
spend for the last 2-3 years and done
one
pretty well with
positive.
it.
The record's not positive, but the financial side of things is much more positive,
Yeah.
I think.
Now he knows he's kind of got that winning formula that he had in Buffalo. And what that is that get younger on the
Let's
defensive
hope so.
side, get your guy at quarterback, and get people around him. Like, we have our number one receiver now. That's where he
Oh,
fucked up
I
with
think
Buffalo.
Neighbors hit a home run with. I love that pick, and I think pairing him with Wilson or pairing him with a Shador Sanders in the future, if
Mhm.
that happens to be the pick, I think would work out well. But we'll have to see, what they do, or someone makes me. Who knows? Maybe someone will trade with the Browns if the Browns still won. But we'll see what
I'll
happens in
think
the
of it
draft.
this
I'm
way:
very excited to see
this
what's
is
going to
my
happen.
guess of what's going to happen. I do think that if Shador goes number 2, the
I'm
Giants
taking
take
Abdul
Travis
Carter.
Hunter at 3, which is a great pick because now
Hunter or
you have
Carter, I'd be
studs
very
at
happy
both
with.
sides of the ball, and then they're going to have to move up for a Jackson Dart, but you don't. You don't move up for a Jackson Dart because that's going to be
Just you can
he's a
stay where
second
you
round
are
quarterback for a
and see
reason.
who's there.
Okay, so second round quarterback,
Take
he's going to get
Milrow.
snagged in the first round. Somebody's going to move up and take him. Now Jalen Milrow, somebody who does need work, you let Dayball sit with him for a year behind Winston and Wilson,
I like some of his skill set.
and
Milrow.
you let him Jalen Milrow has shown the most improvement
Sorry.
since college on his draft day and all that. I'm excited to see where he goes. And if you're able to pick him up in the second round, I wouldn't mind it at all. I think he would be really good. A Colin McCord, I would wait until the third round for, but that would be kind of where I'm flat out on.
What about a Quinn Ewers late?
He what I like is he played a lot. Okay, so I'll give you that. He played a lot,
Yeah, he's got stuff to
but
work on, but I like
he
him
was.
late if they did anything.
I would rather wait a year and get Drew Allar. It's the same person.
Yeah, Allard. Yeah, Drew Allard is talented. I like from Penn State. I think he's a good quarterback. Hold on one
Because
second.
he's going to be he's going to be QB2 next year. Besides
Let me
Arch
get
Manning,
both Sanders and Hunter on the same team.
you would have to give a lot of draft capital, a lot.
Mason Graham. That's what I. You would have to give
I
him a
would
lot of draft capital.
I wouldn't mind that because then you have Dex and Mason Graham next to each other.
Oh, there you go. Eddie says I'm recording the second round. But I think
He
someone
may
like
not though. That's the thing though, because there's so much plethora of skill talent that's above him. I don't think he'll go. I don't think he goes.
I don't know, but to be honest, I wouldn't trade back up in the second. I would just stay where I'm at because I don't want to
Yeah.
lose any assets. I want to keep those 2 third-round picks I have because they got an extra compensatory pick. So they have 2
But
third-round picks. I don't want to trade one of those. I think Monroe could be there in the second round if that's what you want to do. If you want to take Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter and then go quarterback later, maybe a Dart falls, maybe a Monroe. I think a Monroe would definitely be there.
yeah.
If Dart, I would wait and see if Dart falls into the last 5 to 7 picks of the round 1, and then make my move. I don't know
Like I
if I
said,
would do it
I
too
like
soon if I'm going to do that. But I wouldn't be mad if they had got a Carter and a Jackson Dart, or Hunter and a Dart, or a Hunter and like a Milroe in the second. You might even be able to get a Monroe in the third. You never know.
Milroe. I like how he got his hands to grow a little bit more, which I'm a little worried about. I don't know how he got his hands to grow, but the fact that he was able to do that, I sat here the other night. I couldn't sleep, so I put on the combine, just watching the combine, and I watched about I watched all the quarterbacks. I watched about the top 5 running backs, and a lot of it's just special skill, stuff that I saw. Went to Colorado's Pro Day, watched that stuff. Just watch Cam Ward. Mason Graham really stood out to me. That's somebody who I want to move down to get. Like I want, like if
Mason Graham's
Oakland
gonna
was
be a good
willing to
player.
give
He's
up
a
a lot,
talented player.
if Oakland was
Mason
willing to give
Graham.
up a lot, I wouldn't mind it. Because then at 3, Shador's gone,
Yep.
and then New England's not going to trade with the Jets to help them get their guy unless they're giving up a lot. So Jacksonville at 5 is going to have to be about where either Shador or Travis go, whichever one. But Mason Graham will be sitting there for you at 5 or 6.
Like Travis Hunter could go with the Jags if he gets to 5.
Oh yeah, definitely, most definitely.
Absolutely, I think so. I think that's definitely possible.
But whoever moves up, we got to make sure they move up with us and not Cleveland, because Cleveland's going to get a haul right now. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for.
Oh yeah, like some team could offer them a whole boatload of picks, and it would be a deal they could refuse if they're not totally decide on a player. If you want a Carter, you want a Hunter, you want, say you're gonna have to stay up.
Now,
You're gonna stay up in the top 3.
here's something that also is a rumor. Pittsburgh is looking to rebuild their defense, and T.J. Watt might be on the move. Now, I don't know if they would deal him to an in-house rival.
I don't know about that.
But a first round pick, number 2 pick for T.J. Watt and some picks, you get your franchise quarterback. He now has a star-studded DK Metcalf and George Pickens. You just re-signed Frothmore, so he's going to be on there. And he's on the last year of his contract. You pair him up with what you call? That's a dangerous D line.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I think Sanders could. I think it's going to be between Sanders and Hunter at 3. I feel that's what's going to be come down to. And which one do you want?
I think Shador. I think Shador's been prepped to be an NFL quarterback since he was in high school.
I wouldn't be mad at the pick at all. I would not be mad at all.
And that's the one thing people gotta understand is that, yeah, he may have a little swagger to him. He may have that edge to him, but he was born for that. Like his dad made sure that he had the best coaches, he had the best meals, the best food. like the best training regimens. He's been working with the best quarterback to ever live in Tom Brady. Like, come on now, like this is not something. This is something that was bred into him. He's going to be a number one pick. And I think that little shine off of Cam Ward being a Big Ben type, congrats. Like I said, I wouldn't mind having both because I know both are going to be a project. But I think,
It's usually how rookie quarterbacks can be. If you're not really sure, how their game's going to transcend, a lot of people just don't know. You got a right situation. I mean, obviously, I think they both have the skill set. Their skill sets are different. I prefer Cam Ward. Like I said,
yeah,
I'd be pleased, very happy if they got Shedeur Sanders. I think I'd be
no,
not surprised, but if, like you said, if they like him, they like him.
no.
If you like your guy, you take your guy. And if your guy is there, number one, if he's number one on your board, is a quarterback that you want, and like you said, if you're saying that there's a lot of interest in him, it seems like there is. It makes sense if they took him. It's just maybe a QB filled room. That's all. I see Sanders being Todd uh, Baranovich. It depends on how much is on how depends too much on his dad. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, Eddie. I will always say for a player that has uh, one of them sports parents. I don't know. Arch Manning's sports parents. Peyton Manning had sports parents. Eli
Well,
Manning had sports
I
parents.
haven't really seen
The Watts have sports parents.
besides like Chris Sims. There's nobody that's been an NFL quarterback and had a son that really wasn't great.
Yeah.
You know,
Other positions, yes.
but that's where it gets dangerous. But it's kind of like the Peyton Manning situation. Like since Shador was a kid, like Dion's had him with the best coaches. Like it's I just said, like the best coaches, the best everything. He had people coming in, like scouting his games when this kid could have went anywhere. He chose to stay loyal to his dad. Got his
Yeah.
dad a job at Colorado. It's it's what
Walter
it is.
Payton's son. So yeah, he wasn't great, but still.
I'm that quarterback.
Yeah.
Listen, some players were better than their dad. Look at the Caffrey brothers. Their dad played for a wide receiver for the Broncos, and now his son was probably one of the best, running backs in the league.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm excited. Like for the team, I think that I really Shane needs to knock it out of the park this draft also, and we'll see if they walk away with the quarterback. I can't say, but for Sanders, I think it would be a good pick. Carter's probably more of an impact player.
Yeah.
Carter or Hunter because they're going to play right away. Shedeur Sanders probably is going to play right away with Wilson, and Winston there. It's probably better than Winston though. He might be better than Winston right off the bat. So I don't think it's worth keeping Winston if you draft Shedeur Sanders, even though it makes sense to bring him in.
I think they brought him in because he's signed to a 2-year deal.
He's a veteran. It makes sense.
Yeah, to bring him in for a 2-year deal because even if Wilson pans out this year, unless you don't get a quarterback this year and you get one next year, you still have Winston to play.
Can't guarantee you're going to be in a position to take any quarterback next year. Yeah, they may just be right outside of where you're going to be in a position to pick one. Because if they want a good quarterback, they're probably going to have to be in the top 5 again. And there's no guaranteeing that. And also if you're Shane, there's a lot of people think there's pressure on them, to fix that position. But I think they did address the position. Getting Wilson and getting Winston, your quarterback room is better than it's been in years.
Has Rodgers signed yet or no?
I don't think Rodgers is signed anywhere.
So
let's see what
listen,
let's see. Hold on. Let's see what Eddie say. Archie pretty much stayed quiet, except making sure Eli didn't play for Schottenheimer, who was a not good head coach. I get it. I do wonder if Rivers would have went to us and stayed with us instead, how that would have worked out.
nah.
Schottenheimer's one weakness was not being a good coach with younger
If
players.
you ever read about that day, what happened, the only reason they picked Rivers was because
And no on Rodgers, Eileen says.
the only reason they picked Rivers in the first place was because they wanted Eli from San Diego, and San Diego didn't want Big Ben, but the Giants originally wanted Big Ben.
I would have been happy with Big Ben. I think it would have been a good pick.
I don't think his lifestyle would have played well in New York.
Maybe not.
He got away
Maybe
with
not.
some shit in Pittsburgh.
He might be getting
Small.
more motorcycle crashes in New York and shit. You know.
There have been too many bantam stalls and.
Hey, but we got 2 Super Bowls with Eli, so I'll take it. I mean, I think Eli had a solid career, not elite, not amazing, but those 2 Super Bowl runs were awesome. So, I think that I love Eli Manning. We'll see if he coaches one day. I want to see if he ever coaches or gets in like a management position or something like that.
It's funny because I just found out somebody was telling me that at the casinos sometimes he pops in Jeremy Shockey. He likes to come up here and gamble a little bit.
Oh, probably. It would surprise me.
I was like, yeah, I know he played for the Saints his last 2 years. I never knew he was with us when we had when we won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When we won in 07, I didn't know he was on the team then. I thought we had traded him already.
Yeah, he got hurt.
And then something like the Giants said you're not getting a ring because you didn't play or some shit.
I just find it funny. Like fucking Tiki Barber left a year early.
I thought he left in the beginning of that year.
Yeah.
But then again, I was young, so I was like, oh, must get a ring. I just didn't know he also stayed to win one in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because last time I heard anything about him in New Orleans was he got busted with like a shit ton of pills.
But yeah, like I said, the very interested to see what the Giants do in the draft. This draft, we'll see if they make any more moves. I doubt. See more moves or restructure a contract or so, something like that. But I think they're pretty much done with free agency. I thought they did a good job bringing in Wilson, and we'll see what they do with the number 3 pick. I'm very interested to see what happens in the draft. What happens at number 2? I think all bets are pretty much Ward will probably go number 1. But let's see. Deacon was the best thing that happened to the Giants. Maybe, who knows? If we don't have him, maybe we don't win in 07. You never know.
Giants select Tyler Warren from Penn State, 3rd overall.
Oh, Tyler Warren's going to be a good player. I like him. I like him.
He reminds me kind of Shockey a little bit because he just looks awkward running down the field.
Oh, I guess because the long hair, that long blonde hair.
Yeah. But Shockey
I like Tyler Warren. Dude. Whoever gets him is going to get a good player, I think.
Oof. Well, Dan, what are we talking about? What are we talking about next?
What, next week?
Yeah, what are we gonna do next week? Huh?
Probably talk about more about the draft. We'll see if they make any moves. But all you're gonna hear is rumors from now until the draft. This team's gonna do this. Let me review this mock draft, and this person has this mock draft. This person. That's all you're gonna see. And you have the pro days coming up. You have Colorado's pro day today. So I heard Shedeur looked good, not amazing, but looked solid. Hunter looked good. Horn Jr. They have some other players. The pro days are nice for the players because you get to feature all the players that all the talent that your school has. The teams that are players that are draft worthy. So I think the pro days are always interesting to see what pro days teams focus on, and obviously the Giants were at today's pro day. Obviously, there's a lot of teams there, but for me, I'm going. But you're also going to look at other players. Travis Hunter, obviously, and Shedeur Sanders are the guys they're probably looking at the most. That most teams are looking at. I know a little bit about some other talent. I know they have some other talented players, some other talented receivers. I don't know much about the rest of the team, though, to be honest.
All I'm hoping is they don't panic. If Shedeur is going, move on to the next.
If Shedeur goes number 2, like say Ward and Shedeur go number 2, you take Abdul Carter. You take Travis Hunter. I don't
I
think
just
you
don't
can go
want them
wrong
to
with
move
either pick.
up. That's one thing I don't want. I don't want them to move up.
There's
Do
no
not
point.
give draft capital because
There's no point. No,
you
you don't move up in this draft.
because at 3 you win no matter what. 3 you get either Travis or you get Ward or you get the top 3. So
You're gonna get a good player regardless, and for Shador Sanders, obviously that's a pick for the future. That's not a necessary
and if they're gonna
pick
drop
to
back,
play
don't
now.
drop back too far where you miss
I'm
getting
saying in the
top 10
top 10.
talent.
I'm saying top 10. I didn't trade back that far at all. Like if I'm not taking Shador Sanders, I'm getting calls at number 3 from the Jets, from the Raiders. Those are a couple teams I could see maybe doing something like that. Then maybe I'll think about it. But it depends on what they're offered. It really depends. It depends on what the offer is. I really don't want to give up assets though. Like I said, I don't want to give up assets unless I'm trading a player that by surprise or something. That's the only way I'm going to do anything.
Yeah, just
if
go
I'm giving you a
from
player and a couple picks for next year or something or later in the draft, then maybe. But I think they should stay where they are and just see what's there. You're going to have your 3 players that you want. Sanders,
to move up from
Ward.
3 to 1 is going to cost you an arm and a leg.
It'll
And
just cost
I
you
don't
because
see the reason to move up 3 to 2 because
Tennessee wants a ransom for it. They want a lot of picks for it. So if someone's going to
they're
move
talking
up,
about they want at least 2 first rounds.
Yeah, I don't think we
and
can
a
do
star
that.
player.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Like you said, what do you count as a star player though? I would move up. I'd give up 2 firsts and a star player, but the only star player I'm looking to give up is probably Thibodeau.
Yeah, the only thing I like if I'm Tennessee, moving to 3 is much more feasible than moving to 6 or 7. Because
Yeah.
at least at 3, I'm getting a player that I want. Because if you're trading that pick, then you're not taking Ward. You're passing on Ward. We would get Ward instead. Then you'd be at number 3. You could take Shador Sanders. So their options. They have a couple of options that they could really do, but I really wouldn't trade up because you're going to be giving up assets, and I think you can't go wrong at 3. If you want Sanders, he's gone. Whatever, you take Carter. If Carter is gone, you want him. You take Sanders or Hunter. I mean, you can't go wrong, like you said.
My list goes Sanders 1, Hunter 2, Carter
3.
and then Graham 4. But Graham, I wouldn't mind if they took Graham over Carter.
Graham's a good player. He's gonna be a real good player. You put him next to Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, with Burns and Thibodeau, I think that could be.
But then you grab him.
Front.
If you do grab Graham, then that doesn't discourage Thibodeau.
No, it doesn't. But Thibodeau needs to step
Carter,
up regardless.
Then
maybe it'll light a fire under his ass. Yeah, that's what I want.
Exactly, but I could have drafted somebody to come replace you. I didn't. You ain't gonna fire up on your ass. I need 12.5 sacks, but not only 12.5 sacks. I need you at important times. I don't need you to grab 4 sacks in a shitty game and boost your sacks. I don't need that. I need you to play against Dallas and Philly and get those sacks. I need you to go against the best offensive lines in this league and get those sacks.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need you to play Carolina and get 5 sacks. I need you to play against the Eagles and get 2 sacks and 3 sacks, or stop the run, wrap Saquon up. That's what I need from you. I don't need mediocrity in mediocre games. It's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
But for
I just want to talk about one of our sponsors real quick. What do you heard? 123. Terry Big out Jason Fire over your legal troubles. Need some legal help. Getting out of deep water with some legal troubles. Call it Where Hurt 123. We have 3 locations in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. Give them a call today to help you out with your legal claims and issues today. So they will help you out. Give them a call today. Also, here at Outbox Sports Entertainment, we have something for everybody. Sully Squad, talking about, Philly sports, baseball, Silver and Black Kings, got baseball talk, NFL talk, got the NFL draft coming up, baseball season just started. So that's an exciting time. NFL Weekly Talk with me and Paul next week again. We'll be back next week around 8 p.m. at Big Blue Power Hour. So come join us at Outbox Sports. Well, the draft show coming up. So join us on Outbox Sports Entertainment. So, Evan, any final thoughts on our New York Football Giants?
I'm feeling all right, man. I'm feeling all right.
Yeah. A little more positive than we were. There's some stability at the quarterback
See, I
position.
don't want to get positive because I was so positive last year.
No, I'm not
I
being
was like,
negative.
things are gonna change.
No, I'm tired of the negativity. Oh, we suck. Oh, we suck. Oh, I'm not even gonna watch. I'll fire everybody. Fire everyone. Well, now we know.
Man, they were about to see the
G-
Incredible Bulk.
Yep. Now we're gonna know Dable and Shane are gonna be back, and half people are pissed, half the people are optimistic, half the people are delusional. Like I was a third, I guess, are delusional. But we'll see what happens in the draft. And thank you for joining us, everybody, here at Out of the Box Sports and Big Blue Power Hour. Me and Evan will be back next week, probably 8 p.m., 8:30. We'll decide the time. And everybody, have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Take care, Evan. Later.